Second try of recording this. We're gonna review a track by Crimson Dragon that he sent me. It's not done. We're gonna look at it and fiddle with things and be like, oh, you should have did this and that or whatever. Critical stuff. I don't know what you used for strings, but this is what I got, so it sounds crazy loud. So yeah, hopefully the piano and stuff I had to substitute weren't louder than you originally attended, and I'm not like, oh, you should have lowered the volume of this, because that wouldn't actually be right. And then your kicks and stuff should work. I thought this was the kick. I was like, that's a really weird looking kick you have here. It's this one. Silly me. All right, let's listen. Right here. It's weird how the chords end and how it transitions to the plucks, and at this point you could almost start bringing in like some sort of percussion. Not necessarily drums, but just something percussive. Wow, this is 113 bars. It's like a full song. I didn't even realize. What was I gonna say? Something over here. What was that sound? Gotta find that sound. This. I think it's something in here. Yeah, the white noise. So like it has a gradual sweep up, right? But right here, you've like played it again. Wow, this is so tiny. What's going on here? You played it again here. I'm trying to like open the track. So I guess you looped it. I wouldn't recommend having that bit. If we yeah, that's cool. Like that white noise that was coming in there was kind of like a bit much. So that white noise, I find this part sounds better like without the without that little bit of like it's like you're playing the sample again, like high, and it's already like pitched higher, or you've opened up the envelope more, because there's like the high end, right? But what's good is if you wanted to, and I would recommend this for something like that, is you could, I don't know what version of Ableton you have, I'm just gonna use this. If you throw in one of these, and you just kind of cut off some of the high stuff. Or extend your sample so you're not actually looping it. Right there, because it was just too high. But okay, so now what I did was I cut, fair to play the sample, like how it plays here. What I did was I took off, I got rid of all that high stuff. You might not be able to hear. It takes like a certain kind of hearing to hear that kind of stuff. But I just cut it out. Like it was up in like the 15 kilohertz plus. So I kind of, if I just cut out like the 10 to 12 kilohertz, you still have that high stuff, but it's not to the point where like it's super like phase cancely and like loud. So like I'll leave that in there, but like if I just cut probably 13. That's a bit generous. Hear that difference? This is just like annoying. That is like much cleaner and like much nicer on the ears. So that was one thing I had for that. I'm trying to listen to this again. There's like too much bass in this kick. I love doing what you're doing right now with the reverse kick. It's sweet, but like there's oops. Oh no. Too much bass in it. It's got like a bunch of sub in it, like. So I would almost, you don't have any effects on it, right? So I'm gonna try some things. Oops. Here. I literally feel like this EQ is doing nothing. You have Pro Q. I'll just throw that in there. This is a lot of sub, though, to be fair. Oops. Oops. That looks funny. And I went too far with that. There's like a sound up here that you want and a sound you don't, and I have to try to separate the two. But here I took some of the sub out of here. Cause it was a bit much, and it was like distorted sub. It's not clean sub. And you want it to be like a rise, right? And the whip at the end of it is a bit much. Like you might actually want to on the way out here, kind of just like bring it out a bit, like for all I know, it could be just the sample you chose to use. Maybe just like... There, I like that. Versus the... It helps it like not sound as loud. especially in a part where it's pretty quiet and you just have like all the snare filling it up. So like. So your clap in the drums is really quiet, and there's like not enough high in the kick. Okay, what's his face? Darby did this too. He puts like random limiters on things. This limiter isn't really doing anything. I can hear what it's doing-ish. It's kind of making it sound a little more distorted. I personally don't like distorted drums, but so you have like the kick, right, and then you have your snare. It's a snare from Cymatics. I think it's really important to EQ your snare. So in drums, if you have like check this out. Can we just mute you for a sec? So there is no okay, so you see this high stuff in the snare, like this? I wish I could just point to it. So like this stuff, like this, there's still noise here. Like if I were to do a high pass, this, I can still hear this. Now if you mix that in, if you mix this in with like a kick, you can hear it. So what I would recommend doing is cutting it out, obviously. So I'm gonna do that in the snare. Just gonna throw down a quick question. Do you have EQ8 or should I be using FabFilter Pro Q? Because I don't know if you torrented FabFilter or whatever, and I have like I always have the newest versions of FabFilter stuff because I own them. So I don't want to like have you stuck with none of the EQ if I send this project back. Now why is that still there? Is there any kind of compression bringing it back? It's pretty quiet, but hang on. What I'll do is I'll what's with you guys in selling merch? You don't have like you guys don't have like the base to build to even do merch right now. So yeah, I have cut it out now. I don't know how I feel about Ableton's EQ8. It's kind of weird. Doesn't do what you want it to. For me, at least. And it never does what I want it to. So I cut out like that stuff. You can hopefully hear the difference here. So I can find that. So that will, I'll keep pressing space on the YouTube page. That will help a lot with that. And it's got a strong fundamental, which isn't necessarily, you don't want really a strong fundamental when you have, when it's electro, like the 1 2 1 2. You want like a nice fundamental when you have lots of, like, you have separate kicks and snares. Like, you want the snares that have lots of fundamental tone to them, like that. But for the most part, when actually doing like electro, I find snares that have like their, not their transient, but their fundamental taking down sound like really good. So this is a fairly good snare for electro, right? But I feel like if you were to that's not what I was trying to do it to. Oh my gosh. I take back what I said about the EQ for Ableton. I was EQing the hi-hat because it looks like a snare to me. I don't know why. Totally not even close. Good job. Okay, here we go. Now I can... pretend I didn't just do that. So, okay, so I took out some of that. I'm going to try to remove some of the fundamental just a little bit. Like this thing. It's the best sounding part out of a snare. Right? Like, this is what your snare started with. And now kind of reduce it down to this. And it still sounds fine from what I can tell for this part. For a part like this, the fundamental is kind of important. Like, personally, I would have used a different snare sample specifically for this, but... Oh, you did? Nice. Clever, clever. Now, you don't have to EQ samples if you think they sound good, and they do sound good. I do really like to... I guarantee you this stuff's going to have a bunch of that low end you don't really want either, so I'm going to take that away automatically here. Yeah, I got rid of a lot of... stuff. If your snare sample sounds good, by all means, like, don't EQ it, but usually, like, I always throw EQs on, like, everything, even though I might not use them. Because you never know, but... yeah, what'd you do to your master? I kind of want to turn everything on the master off just real quick. Yeah, okay. That made everything really quiet. That's fine. It's probably really loud over here anyways. Okay. That's too quiet with that, obviously, though. In in the master, you see this? Very rarely do people actually do things like this, like where you have like a gain of 5 decibels in the master. That's really a lot. Like the maximum amount of gain you should be making for mono and stereo at the same time, and is like 1 decibel at most. Like these problems you're trying to EQ or whatever you think sounding better with the EQ. You're better off just leaving it the way it is. EQing in the master is always a very tricky business. Okay, so let's listen again. Wait, I didn't kick. I want to get the. I was going at the drums still. I find it funny how the kick's like all by itself. It's so lonely. Put EQ8 in here as well. This kick sample is not very good to not be EQ'd. Why do I keep clicking on the I press space to play and then like I just Okay, so it's shaking my drink here. The high stuff in a kick is very important. So I'm going to start by just trying to clean up the kick because it sounds really muddy and it looks really muddy. Recommend like a System of a Down. That's what that sounded like. I think I've ruined everything. I would seriously recommend is maybe using a different sample for this. Like going like I want to try to use this I'm gonna try to use this hi-hat here for with the fade here. see how this sounds in context. Also, real quick here, these are these deactivates? Like, are you deactivating them? I would almost recommend just deleting these instead of doing this, because right here you can't get that the precision, right? Like, you can't get smack on precision unless there's something I don't know. As far as I know in Ableton, there is no, like, snapping to a line. Totally looks like it's snapped to a line. Maybe I'm just horribly wrong. So, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with just getting rid of them entirely, like, and they're just gone now, so, like... So another part is the kicks. The kicks and snares sound really drowned out. So I don't know how you're doing your side chaining. As far as I know, you're not side chaining. Can you answer a question for me? Are you side chaining in here? Like, what? Because I can't find any side chaining, so I don't know if you're side chaining per instrument. Okay, you are. I think. I don't know what's going on right now. Oh, this sub's crazy. Check this out. That's not a sine wave. That's something. It's like an organ tone. Okay, anyways. See this clicking? This is a result of the oscillator starting too fast at 0 or at, like, random at anything. It's starting just so that's why on default it's at like 0.5 for like everything, because this envelope 1 controls the volume like no matter what you do. In Serum and in Massive, envelope 4 does it. So in Serum, like 11 milliseconds and add a bit of a longer of a release, like a... See how I've like removed that fundamental tone now? If you want, you can add like a fifth to your stuff as well. This sounds like really happy, but like you can add oh no, I'm gonna be phase canceling it, am I? Okay, that's not gonna work because I'm just canceling it out, but So yeah, I got rid of some of the click there. I can see your side chaining, right? Instead of using a kick, like instead of, I used to do this. I used to like I would take, for example, like I'd have my kick and snare go to the same group or whatever, and then I would say, oh yeah, just side chain everything by that. But you shouldn't do that, and you should almost use like a sample to do you should almost use use a sample to like trigger the when the side chain turns on. So I use like I would use like a serum, like a white noise. So you can use serum for this. So what I'm gonna do is check this out. I'm gonna make like a new instrument track here somewhere. Okay, it's here. I'm gonna move it to wherever the kick and stuff is. So I have all this here, so I'm just gonna paste it in here. We'll make them, I like to make these kinds of things like white or something. I want to make them like stand out, but you already have white, so I'll make it like dark blue. And then commonly just trigger. The kick running through an EQ before it does the compression. I'm confused. Hey, you cut some high stuff. I just noticed this. Why can't I hear you? Is it? This EQ on your actual kick here, this filter you put on, is doing like absolutely nothing. I don't know if you put that on there on purpose or if that's just a thing that happens. It's like literally doing. It's not doing anything. So you said you have an EQ on the instruments before, on all of them. They're EQ'd before it comes in. That's clever, I guess. Alright, I see what you're doing. That's not... okay, so the way sidechaining works is the volume that it will take down is like largely based on... it's very largely based on the transient of the audio. So what you've done is you've completely cut out the transient of the kick with EQing out that low end. Is like this futile or like what? Okay, so if I close this. Sweet, perfect. You cut out like the low end, then the transient's gone. So I'm wondering if that's kind of a sidechain problem. But we're gonna go back to using this trigger, so I'm gonna throw down serum. Oh gosh, I hope I don't have a higher version of serum than you, and when you try to go backwards, it just ruins everything. Crimson, do you own serum? You must, because you have the FX version. So I'm gonna put on white noise here. If none of the serums don't work, just it's really that's what. So I'm gonna take this and decay it out. Yeah, if any of my serums aren't working, like if you want this project file back, just update it. So I'm gonna take the decay off and screw around with the hold, and there's gonna be no release, no attack. Okay, so I've made this stupid sound now. This is going to activate all the side chaining. So I'll just put one for like every kick. Like literally, it's not tonal, so just put it anywhere. Yeah, the latest version, they did one on April 7th. But if you got it, then you got it. I thought I had the latest version, then I got some presets from Virtual Riot, and I was like, never mind. So it's gonna come like this. Right? But obviously I'm not gonna have a trigger playing, so I'm gonna come over here. I don't need to. So in the outs, it's like going to the group. I'm just gonna put it to sends only. And because you don't actually have any sends, and even if you did have sends, as long as you're not sending any volume, it's just gonna not do anything. It's gonna have this blue color. So I'm gonna hook it up to the sub here. What have I done? Oh, that's crazy. So I'm gonna come into there. Okay, instead of doing all your things separately, here's what I would very much recommend doing. Keep your sub separate from your basses. Have a basses group and an effects group and a synth group, not necessarily like a leads group. This looks more like a this here looks more like a synth group. So synth, sub bass, and then you have your drums and the FX. So those are like the four groups, I guess. What I would personally do is just like take every single one and here's another problem. You're side chaining the instrument before the effects, which doesn't make much sense, especially when you're using reverb and delay, because then your reverb and delay never gets side chained, and then that really contributes to not hearing. So anyways, I'm gonna go through and remove all these compressors, and I'm just gonna side chain them, the instruments here. Doing them per instrument's a very, very nice way to do it. I wouldn't recommend it specifically in Ableton. That's more of a whatchamacallit. This isn't side chained at all. That's not being side chained. It's being side chained. That's more of like a reason thing. And then I'm gonna delete this one. It is a nice way to do it though. I believe deadmau5 doesn't even do it per instrument. I remember reading that he does it per whatchamacallit, per like group like this. He'll have 4 groups or whatever. So do you have, quick question, do you have the glue compressor? Yeah, I know reverb sounds weird when you sidechain it, but if you don't sidechain it, then you can't hear anything. If you use sends for reverb, you can sidechain the reverb differently than the sends, like than in the thing. I'm trying to explain this. You can sidechain it differently, basically, which is good. You can control the tails of reverb from all your instruments, so you can sidechain it a little less, and then it won't sound as crazy. Where's the glue compressor at? Glue. So I'm gonna throw a glue compressor on the FX, sub bass, scroll up maybe? Yeah. Electro sounds good with long delay. I'm actually just gonna put like this exact same thing on the basses. Sidechaining reverb doesn't sound that bad, does it? There's no way. I do it all the time. I think it sounds great. Very important to sidechain sound effects as well. Darby, even if it's just like a little bit, you have to have some sidechaining. Also, so you have everything routed into a group here for the sidechain, or for the sound effects. I would recommend very much always putting in a 4-slope EQ before the sidechain on high pass at like 250. To keep all that low stuff out from what time is it? Oh, I gotta go. And I have to go like literally in 5 minutes. You can keep all that high stuff out. It's like, oh, but I guess kick in there, so I'd remove the kick and almost add it to like the drum section or just by itself out of the FX. I moved the wrong thing there. I wanted to do this. is so sick. Alright, that was my my suggestions for you. Would we hit? We almost hit an hour. I really gotta go. I had to be somewhere. I had to go drive out to like the country of my area. The country area of where I live, and go to like a birthday thing for an hour or two, and then I'll be back. Yeah, so I don't think you did this. Also in synths, like always, I didn't check your profiles for the fab filter. Okay. One thing, see this 96? That's like extreme. 24 at like the most. 36, sorry, at the most. 36 is a bit intense, but like 24 cuts are nice. Like just 24. One good tip I have for you is bring down like this fundamental area of synthesizers. If you have a bunch of synths, because you don't want them all playing like in the same frequency area and then making things sound muddy. So like that was like a crazy extreme synth cut. Like the synths are gonna have no personalities. I don't know if that was an accident or something, but yeah, it's very important. Even from like even for strings, I would recommend doing this and everything. There you go, Crimson. If you want to give me more stuff, you can give me more stuff, but this is what I got for you for right now. I have like no time. I can't even save projects, so like I can't give this back to you. But you can. This video is up on YouTube for your use if you want to reference it. Yeah, thanks for sending this to me. And good luck.